Hello folks, this time I'm looking at building a semi-freelance planet-style industrial shunter. I say semi-freelance because it's a little larger than the original Planet 20 horsepower shunters, but that's just to fit it on the chassis we're using. So, the bits you'll need. The bits I provide are this 3D printed body with the support material attached, these 4 M2 nuts, and the other bits you'll need for the model are a brake hand wheel, I've got some from Cambrian, a driver figure, some 0.45mm wire, and some coupling hooks. Tools you need are a screwdriver for sorting the chassis out, a couple of files, side cutters, a pair of pliers. These sort of depend a little bit on how you want to remove the support material, but we'll get into that in a minute. And the last part is a Hornby Ruston 48DS chassis. This needs to be slightly modified to remove the DCC chip plug circuit board, which would normally be sort of sat on top here or down the side here. There's an instruction video on how to do that in one of my other kits, which is a kit to backdate the original Ruston 48DS to the prototype version. So I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video so that you can see how to do that. So the first job to do really is start removing the support material, so I'm going to get on with that. This is in pretty much all my videos, but the really basic version is, the neat way to do it is to cut through all the support material somewhere down here, side cutters or cutting bit in a Dremel or something like that, and file back. Takes a long time but gets a neat finish and is less risky to the main body. The other ways to do it are literally just to pull, and you can hear the support material cracking away, I think. Or the third way, which is what I generally tend to do, definitely do around detail parts because it's a little bit kinder, is just get your pliers around the support, give a little twist and you should hear it crack, like that. Try another one, like that. Just work your way around and work it loose that way. Support material removal is all done now. There's just a few areas you have to watch out for. So there'll be a few supports left in here that you have to make sure you have to dig out. A few around the, let's see if this will focus. So a few around the nut locating points as well. And you have to be just extra careful around footsteps. Yeah, because they're the very thin parts that are attached to the bottom. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. So all I'm going to do now is just tidy up a few of the edges with the various files and sanding equipment I have, and then give it a coat of primer, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Or hopefully a little bit quicker than that for you. Okay, we're back. We've got this little loco painted up now. Just have a look at that. So the next job is to start fitting some of the details and the retaining nuts. So we're going to start with the nuts. We've got 4 here. Now, the easiest way I've found to do these is with a dab of super glue. So I'm just winding it onto a spare M2 bolt I've got here. Get my super glue out. Sit that upside down and just put a tiny dab around the edge of the bolt. You really don't want to get it in the middle. because then you risk gumming up the bolt and never getting it off the nut again. And you don't generally need very much for this. It's worth a bit of care at this stage just so you don't end up with the frustration of having to remove a broken nut. So slot that in there. Wind the bolt out. It should look something like this. Move the light into a better position for you. So I'm going to go around and finish the rest of those. Okay, that's that job done. So next thing to move on to, we'll fit the two coupling hooks in the end. So I'm using some of these, but it doesn't really matter what you use. The holes are fairly big, so they should accommodate anything really. So these particular ones come like this. All I've done is trim the stalk off there, so it only just fits through the buffer beam. The idea is that the chassis sits right up against the edges here, so we can't have anything poking through. And again, that's a very simple installation, just with another tiny dab of super glue. So we'll come back and paint these later on. There we go, that's one end done. Now, next job, to fit the brake parts. So we need some of my handrail wire. I think this is the right one. Yep, that's 0.45mm, so if you want to drop some of that down through the hole here, you might have to clear this out if you've painted over it. And if this will go in, might need just a little bit of encouragement. Like that. Drop that down till it hits the bottom. And trim off very slightly above the end there. So we're going to pull that back out and fit the brake handle to the top. Always remember to put the lid back on my super glue. So I've got this selection of brake hand wheels from, where is it, Cambrian. I think I'm going to go for this one. And then that will slot into the top there. The other thing I'm going to do is bend up some more wire. I can find my clippers. So these are going to make a basic representation of the controls. Just bend that up to 90 degrees. And I'm going to make a few of these, and then they will slot into the holes in here. Hopefully you can see that. If I can line myself up. I think I need to go through and clear these holes, and no I don't, there we go. So I don't know how well that's showing up, but you can see a sort of control rod in there. So I'm going to make a few of those and fit those as well. some of the other bits that you might have seen me do there in fleeting glimpse is, so I bent up some more wire, same wire for the coupling hooks. So there's a couple of holes already in there for those. The only thing is you just have to make sure they're not protruding in this way through the footplate. The other thing I did was fold up a couple of more bits of wire. There's a lot of wire on this loco for the sanding equipment. So there's a couple of holes in the bottom of these tin boxes here. You can just drop some of this wire into, if I can, which maybe I can't. There we go. And it's just bent to sit next to the rear wheel. So the last couple of bits to do are paint the brake wheel before it goes in. Those two will get unpainted. I'm leaving them off for now because otherwise the loco will be sat on them, might damage them. Paint a couple of the end bits, paint the little levers on there. And then I think that's us pretty much done. So I'm just going to do that bit of painting and be back in a couple of moments.